Today I messed up learning sign language, plus all updates. My mom's been involved with this new guy for a few months now. To be fair, enough time has passed for me to stop referring to him as the new guy, but he's not my dad, and I guess that will always make him feel like the new guy. According to movie logic, I'm supposed to hate him for trying to replace my father or whatever, but the truth is, I like him. I like him so much that I've been learning how to use sign language to improve our communication because new guy happens to be deaf. He can read lips, which is how I've been communicating with him. My mom didn't waste any time learning sign language at the beginning of their romance, and she's at the point now where she can have full conversations without using her voice. I was really proud of her, and so was new guy. I'm not on their level yet, but I've had enough practice to follow a conversation that's not too complicated. My plan was to surprise new guy on his birthday, which is 2 months from now, and wish him a happy birthday, as well as officially welcoming him to the family in sign language. However, I never factored in the amount of dirty talk my mom and new guy were having in sign language. Not knowing that I can understand them, my mom and new guy have gotten disturbingly comfortable exposing their sex life in my company. It didn't matter if we were at the dinner table or watching TV. I would constantly catch so many dirty descriptions being communicated between the two of them. They are worse than horny teenagers, and I should know I am one. No 17-year-old son should ever witness his mother use her fingers to demonstrate how wet her vagina is. It's gotten to the point where I'm no longer willing to wait until new guy's birthday to make it known that I can understand sign language because holy fuck I need my eyes to not see this shit anymore. This is an ongoing fuck up. Update. Instead of informing new guy and my mom that I've been learning sign language on the side, I decided to ask new guy to personally teach me sign language in his free time. That way no one needs to know, other than thousands of strangers on the internet, that I understood my mom and new guy whenever they were talking dirty. It was the best approach I could think of that would encourage new guy and my mom to keep their sign language non-sexual around me and spare us all an awkward situation. That being said, I didn't let them off the hook that easily. My first sign language lesson with new guy happened 2 days ago. He's actually a really good sign language teacher when he's not being seduced by my mom. He even promised to teach me swear words. Towards the end of the lesson, I asked him about some of the things I've seen my mom sign to him. In order to sell how new I was to sign language, I first had to pretend struggle how to make the wet vagina sign in front of new guy. It was almost impossible to keep a straight face when I noticed the growing horror in new guy's eyes as soon as he realized what I was trying to communicate. He was quick to intervene and prevent me from finishing the vagina sign, which prompted him to reveal one of his first golden rules: no skipping ahead to pro-level sign language. Apparently, my mom's vagina falls under advanced sign language skills and therefore will not be addressed at all. Speaking of my mom, she's been keeping her sign language relatively safe for son since my interest in learning sign language went public. However, this morning, I'd catch her complimenting new guy's butt in sign language. It was weird because now that she knows I'm learning, she feels the need to teach me too. And based on what happened this morning, she seems to think it's hilarious to teach me words like nice ass, just when I thought I had the upper hand. This is still an ongoing fuck up, but not as bad as before, I hope. Update 2. In between my original post and my follow-up post, something happened to me that was the complete opposite of a fuck up. I met a girl, we're the same age, and go to the same school. We're not in love with each other just yet, but our relationship have become serious enough that we're considering to have sex. I have to add that one of the things my girlfriend loves about me is my sign language skills. Albeit below beginner level, she knows all about my sign language adventure so far. I've even introduced her to my mom and new guy. Speaking of new guy, my sign language lessons with him have been going so well that I decided to pass on. What? I've been learning to my GF, who would occasionally ask me to teach her new words in sign language. That being said, since my girlfriend and I started talking about sleeping together, we also started talking dirty, usually by saying what was on our minds or using sign language to demonstrate what was on our minds. Those of you who read my previous posts are probably getting flashbacks right now of me catching my mom and new guy using adults-only sign language in my company when they thought I was unable to understand. Focus on that flashback and just replace my mom with my GF, new guy with me, and the observer, which was originally me, but now being my mother. That was more or less the situation earlier in the week when my mom caught me teaching my girlfriend dirty words in sign language. My girlfriend and I were hanging out in the living room, and my mom was resting in her room. My mom's kidneys are not in the best condition, and twice a week she needs to go for dialysis. The day of this fuck up happened to be one of her dialysis days. So when she came home, she just wanted to sleep. Usually my mom sleeps all afternoon after dialysis, which made me think I could get away with teaching my girlfriend the ABCs of sign language, anal, blowjob, and cunnilingus. My girlfriend couldn't help but laugh out loud a few times, and I think one of those times it might have woken up my mom and prompted her to check up on us. However, I never heard my mom come downstairs or noticed her watching us. She never made her presence known. I only found out about it during my recent sign language lesson with new guy. It was my first time seeing him look emotionally exhausted. He made me read something he wrote on his iPad. It stated that my mom appreciated his willingness to teach me sign language, but she's upset at him for teaching me words that made her uncomfortable, especially now that I'm using the inappropriate words that I've learned from him to also teach my GF. There was a lot more to read, but it basically boiled down to new guy apologizing for upsetting my mom and for any lines he might have crossed with me during our lessons, before ending it off with the question that I knew was coming. Where did you actually learn those words? I panicked and told him everything. The secret sign language school I've been attending in order to eventually surprise him on his birthday, catching him and my mom dirty talking, pretending to know nothing about sign language. When I asked him to teach me, it all came out. New guy seemed shocked, disturbed, impressed, amused, touched, all at once. I apologized for creating tension between him and my mom and promised to tell my mom everything. I've told him if it meant clearing the atmosphere. New guy accepted my apology and thanked me for going through so much trouble to give him such a thoughtful birthday gift. He also apologized on behalf of himself and my mom for exposing me to their spicy sign language. We hugged it out and agreed that he was going to explain things to my mom in private, but leave out the part about me catching the two of them behaving like horny teenagers in front of me, for my mom's sake. It kind of worked out in the end. Yesterday, my mom said she was proud of me for managing to balance school and sign language classes back to back. However, she made me promise to keep the sign language PG with my GF, at least until I'm old enough to behave however I wanted under my own roof. Hopefully, my mom never connects the dots and realizes how long I've been able to understand sign language lol. The end, fingers crossed. Final update. My mom got remarried this past weekend. Her new husband has been a good partner to her since day one. My relationship with him has been positive too. However, the beginning of our relationship was somewhat bumpy. Communication came with a couple of challenges when my mom introduced me to the new guy in her life because he was deaf. New guy was able to read lips, so he could understand me when I spoke to him, but my mom and I didn't understand sign language at the time, which meant new guy had to put his words on paper or on his phone in order to communicate with me or my mom. That being said, love motivated my mom to learn sign language as soon as possible. As my mom's relationship with new guy grew, so did her sign language skills. She gradually transitioned from verbally saying, "Please sign slower," to constructing sentences in sign language like she's kung fu fighting a fly. I was proud of my mom's progress. So was new guy. No one put pressure on me to learn sign language. It was never an expectation, but I liked new guy enough to want to learn his language, so I did, but in secret. My plan was to low-key learn as much sign language as I could before new guy's birthday, and then, when the time came, not only wish him a happy birthday in sign language, but also explain to him that I've been practicing, Little did I know that my plan would come at a cost. Learning sign language in secret opened my eyes to some of the things new guy and my mom were signing to each other when they thought I couldn't understand. The most disturbing example of this was when I caught my mom telling new guy how wet her vagina was. To this day, I wish I could somehow unsee that, because it became the first thing I thought of when I saw my first wet vagina in person. I was forced to update my plan and ask new guy if he was willing to teach me sign language. I figured if my mom and new guy were aware of me learning sign language at home, then it would make them think twice about talking dirty in front of me. It worked. The wet vagina comments came to an end, and my sign language lessons with new guy actually made us learn more about each other. All was well until my mom caught me teaching my girlfriend dirty words in sign language, and blaming new guy for teaching me said and unsaid words. New guy addressed the elephant in the room during our next lesson, forcing me to come clean about my secret sign language lessons and the fact that I caught him and my mom talking dirty in front of me. Both of us agreed to avoid telling my mom about the wet vagina incident because the situation was awkward and uncomfortable enough. New guy explained to my mom that I had been learning sign language at home and elsewhere, which he was unaware of, and that elsewhere was where I learned the dirty words, which was not totally true, but okay. Everyone awkwardly moved on. Since then, I become an adult and moved out of my mom's house, while my mom and new guy eventually got engaged and recently got married. All of the above, excluding the engagement and the wedding, is not new information to the people who followed my story since my first post. End of recap. Cut to the wedding reception where I decided to be bold as fuck and end off my speech by telling everyone what I learned while living with my mom and new guy. I said I learned how to sign because of them, which I was demonstrating during my speech. Cue wholesome applause. I said I also realized how real the attraction was when I caught my mom locking eyes with new guy and using sign language to express how into him she was. I glanced at new guy to see if he was telepathically trying to tell me to stop talking, but he seemed to enjoy my speech like everyone else, so I continued. Instead of telling the audience what my mom communicated to new guy, I asked everyone to follow my lead and reach up with both hands, palms facing the body, and then connect the fingertips before lowering the hands like it's meditation time. Cool. Next, form an upside-down triangle with both hands by connecting the tip of the thumbs and the tip of the index fingers while making fists with the other fingers. At that moment, my mom's jaw was on the floor. New guy's face was so red, he looked photoshopped. My mom, new guy, and yours truly were not the only people at the wedding who understood sign language. Many of new guy's friends and family knew
what I was signing and didn't seem to know how to react. I asked if anyone was brave enough to translate. One of the guests shouted, "Reddit boy!" I looked around until I spotted the person shouting. It was a random guy at the back. Shouters always seem to be the random guy at the back. Random guy's Jamaican accent came out at max volume when he asked me in front of everyone if
I was the young broda who posted on Reddit about my mom's vagina. Before that moment, I thought I was prepared for any outcome when I decided to include the wet vagina story in my speech, for better or worse, come what may. But I must admit, I was not prepared for the possibility of an unapologetically
loudmouth Redditor being present at the wedding and putting me on the spot like that. I dodged Jamaican guy's question and abruptly said, "Thanks, bro." I was so taken aback afterwards that my brain went blank. I had no idea where I was going with my speech anymore. So without any warning whatsoever, I automatically decided to go ahead and toast my mom and new guy, who were both struggling to hide how mortified they were.
I spent the rest of the night trying to avoid almost everyone at the wedding, which was impossible because I was still at the wedding. My mom, who was now on the verge of disowning me, managed to track me down and ask if I had any idea how many people from her side, including her boss, have approached her since my speech to ask what the fuck I made them all sign. I apologized and said it was supposed to be funny. My mom said I better hope she's in a better mood when she returned from her honeymoon because I had a lot of explaining to do, starting with what she heard from Jamaican guy about me accepting gifts on the internet. I assumed my mom was referring to Reddit awards because that was still a thing when I shared my original post a couple of years ago. According to my mom, Jamaican guy apparently bragged about giving me many awards because my posts about her wet vagina made him laugh. My mom made me promise to stay away from the drunk Jamaican man and to stop making sign language sound like porn to people who don't sign. My new stepdad, aka new guy, cornered me in the men's room to thank me sarcastically for going back on our agreement and exposing both of us for knowing about Vagina Gate. He said he literally forgot that it ever happened until I signed the words "wet vagina" at his wedding. I apologized and explained that I thought enough time had passed for me to joke about Vagina Gate and for everyone to laugh about it. New guy said there was no such thing as enough time had passed, so it must be safe to use his wife's vagina as a punchline in public, and that he's most likely going to spend his honeymoon sleeping on the couch for teaming up with me and keeping my mom out of the loop about where I learned dirty sign language in the first place. On the plus side though, I was able to avoid Jamaican guy at the wedding. I know now who he is, and he knows who I am, in real life and on Reddit, so I'm just going to keep the details about him as generic as possible. This was a long read. Sorry, I cannot describe how much I regret not keeping my speech PG, but at least the whole truth is finally out now. Unless my mom returns from the honeymoon alone because of me, then this chapter in my life is closed. Fingers crossed. What do you guys think? Let's discuss in the comments. Follow and like for more stories.